Josh is a so-called military man I met online. Josh said he was deployed to Yemen for peacekeeping and was lonely and looking for someone nice to talk to online. He told me that his wife had ran off with his best friend while he was deployed and that he had an 8-year-old daughter. We started chatting on Hangouts after meeting on another site. He said the military only allows soldiers to chat on Hangouts and we can't chat anywhere else, so I downloaded it for him. He told me that he was on a secret deployment mission for 6 months and then he would come home to Michigan where he said he was from. I didn't live far from there, so I thought maybe when he got home we could meet. He told me the conditions were really bad in Yemen and soldiers always had to provide commissary for their food, and that his ex had cleaned out his bank account when she left with his best friend. So until he could get home, his account was frozen pending an investigation. I felt bad for Josh. Often he would tell me how it was unfair all the other soldiers' wives and girlfriends supported them, but he had no one, and no snacks for the hard missions. At the time, I didn't know how the military worked, so I thought he was only having a small meal in the mornings. He said the military gives soldiers a small meal in the mornings if you can't afford to pay, and that's all they would get. Josh asked me several times to send money to the Army's accountant in Georgia, who would load up his commissary account. At the time I was working at a fast food place and I didn't make much money. I was struggling. Josh said it was okay, and he was catching feelings for me. He kept talking, and Josh asked me if I would be willing to get him a $100 iTunes gift card. He said we'd been chatting so much that it used up his military phone, and they were going to charge him if he didn't reload the phone with an iTunes card. I told Josh $100 was a lot of money, but on payday I managed to put off paying some of my own bills to pay for this iTunes card. I bought him a card and he thanked me. Josh then told me he was going to come visit me and that he could put in for a vacation leave, but it would cost $1,000 and I would have to pay it up front for him to take 2 weeks vacation. During that time he was going to fix his bank issue and get his pay that he was owed and pay me back for the vacation, account money, and gift card. I told Josh $1,000 is a lot of money for me, but he kept telling me how much he loved me. He said I would have to send the money to the military bookkeeping accountant in Georgia. I loved the attention Josh gave me, and I told him I would try. I ended up doing an advanced payday loan, which is a high-interest loan, but it enabled me to get the cash advance. I sent the money to this woman in Georgia. When I let Josh know, he said he wanted to marry me, and he would go ring shopping when he came to my town. I was so excited for him to come and see me. A few days before Josh was set to visit, I let him know that the payday loan is due in 5 days, and he would be here to help me pay it, right? He told me he would pay the entire amount and the interest. And pretty soon the time came for him to visit, and I stopped hearing from him. I sent message after message on Hangouts. Nothing was ever read, nor did the message get sent through. I thought maybe something happened to him. I wasn't sure. I went into the online group I had originally met him in and asked if anyone had heard from him. A lady sent me a message and told me that she'd been talking to Josh, and we compared our stories. He told her that he was going to visit her and that they were to marry, but she had to pay $2,000 for his military leave. She also sent the money to the same woman in Georgia that I did. I contacted the police, and she said she did too. The police only took the report and said they couldn't do much more than file a report at this time. I called my bank and put in a fraud alert, and so did the other woman. The money was not able to be recovered, and we never found out who the woman in Georgia was. I sent many messages to Josh that went unread. Part of me thinks he may have blocked me. The other woman had a phone number for Josh, and she gave it to me, But when I called it, it went to a pre-recorded voicemail from an app. To this day, I still call the number and message, but Josh has vanished. I'll never know who was behind the name and photo, but I did later find out the photo belonged to a married military man who has thousands of followers online. I now know I was scammed. The other woman never heard from Josh again either. I had to take a second job to catch up, and it took me 4 months to pay back the loan and all the fees and interest associated with it. Now I don't talk to military profiles online anymore, but I get tons of messages, friend requests, and even messages on Hangouts from various military men wanting to get to know me more better. I can't help but think but maybe one of them is the man behind Josh, just trying to get with me again and try to scam me for more money. We'd like to thank this lady for sharing her story. Real military men and women do not need you to send money for snacks. They don't need you to pay for their food. They don't have problems with their bank accounts being held after a mission or before a mission. Unfortunately, military romance scam profiles are very popular online. Real military men and women who are deployed are busy. They don't have time to sit there and chit-chat with strangers online, and they certainly don't solicit you for money, iTunes gift cards, and more. And with that being said, keep in mind that iTunes gift cards don't add minutes to your phone. They're used to download music, movies, and more. Scammers love them, and they sell them and trade them online. And keep in mind, most romance scammers have the latest iPhone, and that's why they want the cards.